Welcome back. You're watching New Money. Credibility is vital for any company operating in China and around the world. But how can companies build credibility? Let's take a look.
Although Zhiguoguo's members and orders are rising, most of the users seem to be attracted by the company's free services. However, feedback from the users show that most of them are most concerned about whether they'll be able to provide professional legal services.
We'll continue using Zhiguoguo even if they start charging us money, because by using them, we save more than just the service fee. We save on the entire process, including connections, contract signing, payments, and it takes a lot less time than traditional services. So we'll keep using Zhiguoguo even if they charge us.
In the next few years, Zhiguoguo plans to focus on intellectual property extended services and will roll out more products and improve service quality.
Over the next few years, we'll probably keep focusing on the whole value chain. This is actually just the first step. We provide a few basic services, like trademark registration. Then, we might start promoting basic services, like patent applications and copyright registration. We'll then offer to help manage customers' copyright. We'll develop statistical analysis systems to help manage your rights and avoid problems. Because China is changing, copyright violations are becoming more frequent, but the legal environment is improving. So we'll also do intellectual property right protection services. We'll position us around this field and promote new services as we move on.
Zhiguoguo aims to use the internet to push the development of the intellectual property rights market. It wants to teach companies about intellectual property rights, as well as how to protect these rights.
We consider this project from the angle of the value chain. How do we help you protect and manage your intellectual property rights? And how do we add to the value of intangible assets? That's the sort of thing we want to do. So in the beginning, we use a few free solutions to attract users so that they can enjoy some more advanced services. So from the user's point of view, it's free, the service is good, and it includes a few value-added services. I think this project will be able to create even more value.
In May 2015, when Premier Li Keqiang visited the Entrepreneur Street in Zhongguancun, Beijing, Zhiguoguo represented the intellectual property rights legal service companies. When the premier heard that the company provided free trademark registration, he nodded in approval and said, "Work harder, do your best."
When Premier Li Keqiang went to Zhongguancun, he was scheduled to talk to the people in the service hall. I spoke to him about the project and our model. The premier was very supportive. This shows approval for our model, and it motivated us. Externally, it promoted our company and brand. This was a gift that helped us grow.
The premier's approval gave the Zhiguoguo team a big confidence boost. But some analysts say that they still needed a calm mind and a detailed plan. Their investor also has some advice.
I don't think that this industry is saturated because the traditional industry has many problems. From the user's point of view, if the service isn't transparent or it's unprofessional or unevenly priced, those are clear problems. So I think that this industry has a sort of drive to promote a company that can change it fundamentally. So I think that this industry isn't saturated. Mr. Liu once said that you must follow through to the end. I think Zhiguoguo is willing to fight. Many even think it's a fierce company, an aggressive company. They're willing to use methods that seem radical, but that can do something for their users and for the industry. So I definitely believe in this company.
Intellectual property rights is a 10 billion yuan or $1.6 billion US market in China. Its derivative service market is even bigger. The patent trade market alone is worth several hundred billions of yuan, while copyrights is another 10 billion yuan market. Zhiguoguo wishes to use the internet model to open up the intellectual property rights legal service market in the long term.
Professor Jiang, how would a legal service company win customers' trust in the first place?
Well, I think for companies like Zhiguoguo as a startup, there are several things they can do to win over customer and especially their trust. One is by offer free service. When the service is free, more people are willing to at least try it out. And if they like it, and they will continue to stick with the service. So this is one way you can win some customers over in their trust. And another way to do it is by leveraging reputable third parties. So this is so-called the certification effect. When you're small, if you, for example, as a startup company, if you can successfully raise venture capital money from reputable venture capital firms, well, their reputation will actually help you to enhance yours, right? So, and actually, there are academic evidence that shows company who can bond with a reputable third party can significantly reduce their cost of capital, especially at the time of IPO, right? And the third way to gain customer trust, I think, as a legal service provider, is actually to establish a sense of professionalism. This is very important, whether it's consulting firms or accounting firms, being able to establish that sense of professionalism is critical in win over customer trust.
Professor, let's take a closer look at their business model, what kind of specific services they provide to smaller businesses. They're taking care of companies instead of individuals, right?
That's right. I think majority of their customers are business, especially small business, right? Zhiguoguo is basically providing the kind of tools or services, that's why it's known as tool to business, that help companies to improve their business operation and management efficiencies, right? So Zhiguoguo provides legal services. Legal service. Right, and we also have companies like Liu Sisi or Zhiguoguo that take care of the company's HR needs, help them
contracts,
exactly, and help them recruit talents, right? And there are also companies that help the other firms to improve their operating efficiencies. And also there's, for example, crowdfunding platforms that help companies to raise additional capital as needed. And there's also companies like OneAPM, for example, IT companies that help provide the basic IT infrastructure for these businesses. Great. So these are all to-be models.
Professor Jiang, we know Zhiguoguo has just been there for 1 year and we can consider it as relatively successful. But going forward, what challenges lay ahead for the company?
Right, that's a great question, Junfeng. I think any startup company will face a significant number of challenges going forward because, the entrepreneurship journey is just filled with uncertainties and potential risks. But I think for Zhiguoguo, one of the most important things going forward is to be able to continue provide products and services that will truly address users' needs, solve pain points, and continue to increase customer or user stickiness. I think that's very important. And the second concern that I have is actually about scalability, because we know professional service, consulting, legal, or accounting, it's really hard to scale because they rely very heavily on human capital. Another challenge or concern that I see, it's not so much about a challenge for Zhiguoguo, but it's more about the overall IP environment in China, is even though, as we talked about, the number of patents being filed and granted in China has been on the rise in the last several years, but what about the quality? I'm sorry, what about the quality, right? I think, well, number is important, but I think what's more important is the quality, right? So how do we avoid, for example, junk patents and actually have patents that have more citations and social impact? I think that's actually more important.
That's so much work.
That's a major pending challenge, I think.
Thank you very much, Professor Jiang Ning, for your insights. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Junfeng.
China's business legal sector is still relatively young, but going online has made it much easier for cash-strapped small businesses to obtain legal aid, and this sector is showing no signs of stopping. Do follow us on Weibo, WeChat, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to share your thoughts. If you have an interesting business case to tell, make sure to email us at newmoney@cctv.com. That's newmoney@cctv.com. Thanks for joining us this week on New Money. I'm Junfeng. We'll see you again next week.